We'd like to continue now with the Left Whisk family. And the left whisk is a very important step in the development of dancing. It was the first time that the body positions changed to one another in a radical way. Because normally, you always dance right to right side normally. But in the left whisk, because of the overturn of the man, the lady rolled from right side of man to left side of man. And this was a big change in dancing. Now, the left whisk originally came from a step, the normal whisk, and then they danced a second whisk, this time the man turning to the right and dancing. If I turn to the camera, you can see now I've turned to the right, and we have another type of whisk. And this was called whisk to whisk. And so they used to dance whisk to another whisk. And then a man called Charles Theobald, he decided that he would turn to the left on the second whisk. And so from the first whisk position here, he turned to the left, and this became what we now known as the left whisk, because it turned to the left. So the man's basic steps here, going from a position of a side position here, he steps to the side on the left foot, and now he turns the hips, he turns the center of gravity over the left foot and crosses behind, and that's the left whisk position. Now today this is done with quite a lot of speed, and so usually counterbalance is needed, and you can see here my head has stopped slightly earlier than the center, and so we have a counterbalance action that actually makes me balance quite comfortably. Or, as you know the rule of balance is to counterbalance or go slow. Here you can also go slow if you wish to and not bother to counterbalance. But the best way, what most people do today, is to counterbalance, and so the head weight is used quite a lot to counterbalance things by stopping earlier. And if you look at my head here from this position, my feeling is, it might move a little bit, but my feeling is it doesn't move very much. It does move, of course, but the feeling is that it's moving backward relative to my center. It must not move forward. If you move forward, it will be very difficult for the lady to balance again. Now this overturn of the body, this very strong rotation through the body here, this is what causes the lady to change weight and not do a throwaway. So that's the big difference between a throwaway and a left whisk, is that the lady here will change weight. If Anne likes to show the step here, she steps onto her right foot. Now the man overturns, he causes the lady to change weight, and if in the original line, the right foot will just close up and just slightly whisk action in front of the other foot. So what the lady did then originally was to do a side step. She turned, and then there's the little whisk action that you can see for the lady. Now, what's important here is the man's rotation leading the lady to change weight to her right foot. So there's the weight change, and that's what allows the lady to overturn. Now at this point, we now have a different contact point. The lady's right hip is inside my left hip now, and that's a big change in dancing.
What I'd like to just to follow up, as Richard said, about his head, and of course we've already talked about the flexibility of the spine in a forward direction and the counterbalance of the head. What's really important here as we go into the figure, as we're leading in, Richard's moving back, of course I'm moving forward, I must be aware of the distance between our two head weights, so the back of Richard's head in relation to mine. This is very important that we maintain this distance. So not only Richard, but I have to think about this as well. And that means it's then much easier for me to feel our central connection. This is vital so that I am able to identify the lead that's being given to me. So we must have the head weights balanced correctly over the spine, and then from there I'm able to read the information from the centre very, very clearly. So that's the first thing. That's going to give us, therefore now if you can lead the figure, it's going to give me clear information on what I have to dance. So that's the first thing. Be aware of the distance between the two head weights. Don't try and increase it, but certainly be aware of maintenance. And the second point here is that when you get into the end position, which, as Richard said, was a pioneering position in ballroom dancing, although of course you can see I'm open on my left side, which is very unusual, I'm still aware of an imaginary line or target going towards Richard's right hip. If I have no awareness of this at all, then I could continue opening, and then of course the position would become extremely difficult to continue dancing together. So although we're open, I'm still very aware of a target of my left side to his right. And that, of course, through the turn that Richard produces, and there's, of course, sway as well, that enables me to target his body. So we must be very centrally aware. That's the key. So head aware and centrally aware.
And the point that's very important there that Anne has just mentioned is that if you go back to the other DVDs, we talked about three-dimensional dancing and how important the centre of gravity is in dancing and how the three planes of movement are linked to that centre. Well, that's what we're doing here. We're making sure, although the angle changes between the body, the centre of gravity must still stay balanced as a couple through the movement, and that's what we have here. We have a balance through the centres at this point here. And if you forget that, it'll be very difficult to balance again. So the left whisk was the pioneering step. That was the start of many of these types of lines. Now we move on now to a very popular step today, which is danced by nearly everybody these days, and that's the hinge. And the hinge step came from the left whisk. That's why we're putting it into the same family.